You're listening to the Grind Line Podcast.
What's up, and welcome to another episode of the Grind Line Podcast. I'm your host, Greg. I'm here tonight with Tyler. This is episode 296. I'm going to try and make it through a whole episode. So for backstory, I've been sick for a few days. And about 2 hours ago, my voice went completely out. It was completely messed up and going up and down and all crazy. And I've gotten it to this point, and I think I sound at about 80% okay. So we're going to get through this podcast, and then I will rest my voice again to get back at it. But Tyler, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Can't complain too much. Weather is fucking warm here for whatever reason.
It was 72 here today.
Yeah, I would prefer a little bit of fall weather considering where I'm waking. I guess the one silver lining of it is I'm in the office every day, so I get to go outside and enjoy the quote unquote fresh air for a couple of minutes on my lunch break, because I go for a mile walk every lunch break. So I'm a go-getter. But that's the one silver lining. I'm not freezing my ass off at lunchtime, but other than that, I'd prefer a little bit of cooler weather, but that's me. But the Wings are playing decent-ish.
They're playing hockey. That's about the short of it. They're playing hockey right now. We were going to cover a few different games tonight. We got 2 games to talk about. We talked about the Rangers game while they were playing it when we recorded last. So we're going to talk about Nashville. We're going to talk about New York. Some post-game comments that Newsy had made that kind of were initially like, what's he talking about? And then once you look at the underlying stats, he's really right. And then a couple other topics that are like the Four Nations face-off jerseys and the new Fanatics deal. But we're going to start with breaking down. And when I say breaking down, I don't really mean breaking down. I mean just looking over the Nashville game. And the Detroit Red Wings won. They beat the Nashville Predators 5-2 to empty net goals. Andrew Kopp has 3 goals on the season, which is pretty stunning to me. And that was the game that they needed as the bounce back from just a beat down by the New York Rangers, a 5-2 beat down. They came out fast in the New York Rangers game, and then Alex DeBrincat misses a wide open net, and that was all downhill from there. At a 5-on-3 power play that they failed, and the Rangers come back and score, and then it's all downhill. And they come back and we're like, we need this bounce back game against the Nashville Predators. The Preds had not won a game at that point. They were 0-4, and you knew they were going to push and play hard. For all intents and purposes, they did, and the Red Wings still came out with a win. And I felt like they played good hockey, a complete game, and they found a way to bounce back and not just fail once more.
Yeah, I agree 100%. They really dug in. I mean, I don't know what it is about the Nashville Predators that brings the best out of the Detroit Red Wings, but the fact that they were able to, come back and win that game. What was it? Was it 2-0 at one point, or it was 1-0, and then they scored that goal. They took that goal away, and then the Wings tied it at 1. Yeah, that's what it was. Tarasenko's goal through the legs there. Yeah, I mean, that was a huge swing in momentum. Just even watching that game prior to the Michigan game that I was watching, crazy swing of momentum, when that goal gets disallowed, and then, the Wings are able to tie it up quickly. I thought it was a good game, honestly, from what I saw of it. Obviously, I've gone back and watched the replay and all that stuff, but I was busy watching the Michigan game for a lot of the parts of that game, so I had to go back and watch. But I liked what I saw in that game. It was similar to the game in Detroit the Saturday prior, to where the Wings kind of dominated a lot of the second half of that game, I thought, anyways.
Yeah, and that game you had 2 goals from Andrew Kopp. You had a goal from Simon Edvinsson. You had a goal from Dylan Larkin and a goal from Vladimir Tarasenko. Assists from Joe Veleno, Michael Rasmussen, Marco Casper. He got his first NHL point in that game. Patrick Kane got an assist. Christian Fischer, Alex DeBrincat, and Jonathan Berggren. And that's the most notable thing during that game was Marco Casper's first game. He came in. That line of Marco Casper, Berggren, and Michael Rasmussen were really good that game. That was a great line. Marco Casper brings a ton of energy. He has a great back check. He's going to the boards and winning board battles, and he's creating offense without taking stupid penalties. And you can see out there on the ice just how smart he thinks that game. And we'll talk about the Islanders game and what happened there. But Marco Casper came in, immediately made an impact, and basically said, "You're not sending me back to Grand Rapids." And I don't think there is any way in good conscience that Steve Eiserman can say, "Yeah, I guess we got to send Marco back." And if he does, people are going to use the excuse of, "Well, he's waiver exempt and he's going to get the Bergen treatment where he can go back and forth because he doesn't have to pass through waivers." But I think right now where the Red Wings are at, it's earning your time. And it looks like Marco Casper, with how he played, especially in that first game, has earned his spot in the lineup.
No doubt, 100%. I agree with that. And you know what? Like, you even see Berger and fighting for loose pucks in the corner, winning board battles. I know he's not
Which
the
is
biggest
mind
guy in the
blowing.
right. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but you don't have to be necessarily. I mean, look at like a guy like Brad Marchand, right? Not the biggest guy in the world, but could win board battles. God rest his soul, Johnny Gaudreau, not one of the biggest hockey players ever, but was able to win board battles. He was technically quote unquote undersized, and he was able to win board battles. It's about will. It's about wanting to dig in and get the puck out when the puck's along the boards, or try and get in on the forecheck. I don't see him taking a lot of shifts off, and I really like that. I really like that from a young player that's trying to stay in Detroit. Obviously, he's not waiver exempt at this point, right? So he would have to go through waivers, correct? Yeah. So um I like what I've seen from him. I like what I've seen from that line altogether. And Casper brings a lot of energy, in my opinion. I think he gets in on the forecheck. He's not afraid to make some body contact, not afraid to finish some checks. And I like what I've seen from him as well.
Yeah, and then when you look at the game against the Islanders that was last night, the Red Wings find a way to win 1-0. After only getting 10 shots on goal, the Islanders had 20 shots on goal. Again, it was a really strong game from Marco Casper. And what they were able to do, though, is take Joe Veleno and put Joe Veleno on Marco Casper's wing with Jonathan Berggren at points, because Michael Rasmussen had kind of a rough game against the Islanders. But you can flex guys now. You've got the depth where if you want to play Marco on wing and you say, let's free up his defensive responsibility a little bit and give him more opportunity to go out there and maybe create a little more offense, you can do that. You can flex Joe Veleno back and you can put Marco on the wing. You can say, hey, Joe, we want to get you going, so we're going to put Marco at center, Joe on the wing. And you've got now a little bit more. You can roll different line combinations. The game against the New York Islanders, so boring. It was like one of the most boring games I've ever watched. The New York Islanders play just this suffocating defensive style of hockey where they pinch you to the edges, they immediately get the puck back and they're out. And you'll spend 10 minutes in the offensive zone or in your own defensive zone, and then you'll get one chance down the ice, and then you're back in your defensive zone. It was ugly hockey. It was not fun to watch. I almost fell asleep. But the Red Wings were able, these are games where you take the win, and Alex Lyon, we can talk about him too, stole that game. But that's a win that you take, but that is not a win you are proud of.
No, yeah, a win is a win, and when you're in the position on the bubble like the Detroit Red Wings are in, you have to take every win and you have to move on. This is one of those games where you can learn a lot from. When a team is pinching you like that, you have to vacuum the puck out quickly. That's where a guy like Eric Gustafson is supposed to be, that quick up defenseman, and he hasn't been that so far. He hasn't been the Shane Gostisbehere replacement the way we thought he would be. And
No.
again, it's early in the season still, and we'll talk more about how bad he's been. But I will say one thing: you've learned, you've played this team finally, and you will play this team one more time at Little Caesars Arena this year, and hopefully you'll be able to quick ups. That's the key when you're playing a team that's trapping you. Don't let them get the trap set up. Don't let them get their forecheck established. D to D and then out, or off the glass and out. I know that's not fun to watch, but you turning the puck over, trying to get the puck out or trying to skate it out is not going to get you anywhere. Once you've made too much, holding the puck behind your own net, or the puck's in the corner and you're trying to break out. Once you've held the puck too long, you're fucked. because they have their time to set up. They have time to set up their forecheck and their quote unquote trap, and you're fucked at that point. So there's nothing you can do. And so hopefully they learned something from that. Hopefully they learned that you can't turn the puck over the way that they did, and hopefully they learned that you need to shoot more than 10 times to win a hockey game, because 9 times out of 10 shots is not going to cut it in the NHL. So again, I don't make too much of it because it kind of is what it is at this point, but they certainly didn't have their legs. And I know we're kind of going to talk about what Malone said, but I don't know, man. That's one of those wins. It's like kind of a character win. It's like you take it, you move on, you learn a little bit from it, and hopefully that doesn't happen again. Because 9 times out of 10, if you play a game like that and you give up that many shots and you only have 10, you're gonna lose almost every time. That's the outlier versus the rule.
Yeah, and I had mistakenly said they had 20 shots earlier. They had 30 shots on net. Alex Lyon, though that's I think who we should be talking about here. Alex Lyon was dialed in, made a 30 save shutout, and he just looked solid the entire game. Now, again, we'll talk about it after the commercial break and about the high danger chances and Newsy's comments, but that's kind of a game where your goalie bails you out, and that is where you look at 2 seasons ago, you would not have gotten a game. You would not have had a game where your goalie bailed you out. It would have been a huge loss. That game, you probably would have lost 4-1 at that point, because there would have been dumb goals right in front of the net that would go in. And you had Alex Lyon, who again posts the second Red Wings shutout of the year and has looked good in 2 games. I would probably give him the next start as well tomorrow and just roll Lyon until maybe he slips up a little bit, and then you can throw Talbot back out because Talbot's also had good games. Talbot played against the Rangers. A lot of those goals weren't his fault. It was really poor defensive effort in those. But Alex Lyon looks like how he looked in the middle of last season, which is just ready to go.
It's almost like Alex Lyon is actually good. Like this is what
right.
drives
We
me
talk
nuts.
about him like he's not supposed to be, but
and then you see people on Twitter, oh, Lyon's not this, Lyon's not that. You hear other podcasts talk about it, and Lyon, oh, you can't win anything with Alex Lyon. Says who? He's a good goalie. He's technically sound. He makes a lot of good saves. He makes a lot of the saves he's not supposed to, not because he's out of position, because he's really good at making saves and putting his body in front of the puck. So I don't understand where this narrative came from that Alex Lyon is just a serviceable backup, and this he might be your best goalie right now.
well, he made a good point in his post-game interview where they asked him, they're like, when you start playing, and you get those first couple saves, do you feel dialed in? Do you know it's going to be a good night? And he said, yeah, you kind of know it's going to be a good night. He said, you know, when it's a bad night, you know it's going to be a bad night. He says, it could be a good night and you have a good feeling, but it's easier to tell when you're going to have a bad night than a good one. But he said it felt good. He said all saves are good saves, because they asked him, like, what's your favorite one? Like the one against Barzal. And he even had a really great save in the game before against the Preds, where he saved it with the shaft of his stick. It flew behind him, and he saved it with the shaft of his stick, and that was excellent. But Alex Lyon, absolutely the first star in that New York Islanders game. Patrick Kane gets his first goal of the season on a beautiful feed from Vladimir Tarasenko. It ends up being the game-winning goal, and the Detroit Red Wings beat the New York Islanders, like we said, 1-0. So it's 2 wins in a row where they played hockey. Like I said at the beginning, they played hockey and they were able to find wins. I think that's where not where the good ends, but where most of the good ends. Because like I said, that Rangers game, and I tweeted it out, it was an anemic effort. There was no offense.
There was no effort shots in that game.
Yeah, you get 10 shots.
Pissed me off.
You chip it in, you get 1 shot on net, and they force it back. You chip it in again, you try to get set up, they steal the puck away, and it goes back.
Stop dumping the puck in and not going after it.
Well, a lot of times now, what they'll say is that, well, they do that because they're dumping it in because they're tired and they need to get a change, or they're dumping it in because they don't see another opportunity there to pass it to anyone. But the problem is they dump it in and no one goes after it. They dump it in. Maybe one guy goes after it, loses the board battle, or wins the board battle, and then has no one to pass it to because the other guys are off the ice. It's like there's a huge communication breakdown.
There's a couple scenarios in which you should dump the puck in. If you're tired, okay, get it, I get it. But then there's one forward that's supposed to stay out there and be the forechecker, so they don't have a clean breakout quickly. And then the other scenario is if you're going to dump it in. See, I understand why they do it because you're right. They're tired, especially if you've been in your zone for a while and now you get the red line and you dump it in. But nobody goes in and forechecks because everybody's tired, and I understand that. But you're supposed to have one act like they're forechecking, quote unquote. So then that way they're not having a clean breakout into the neutral zone. I will say another thing, that was a fucking terrible game to watch. I agree with you 100%.
It was so boring.
It was so boring.
The Islanders play sleepy, and that's what they do. They play sleepy hockey. It's low
and that
event.
Building, those fans are great fans. That building sucks.
I've never been there.
Maybe it's a beautiful new building. I don't know. But they must have moved a little bit too far away from Long Island because that was a dead ass environment. That was
and you heard all you heard were the boos.
Yeah, that was a dead ass environment. I don't know if they're just busy worried about the Yankees. I know a lot of the Islanders fans are Mets fans, and so whatever. But I don't know, man. That was a dead ass environment, and so I know that it didn't really help that. But it also, the NHL Frenzy, what was it? Frozen Frenzy was on ESPN.
Yeah,
I had that on the iPad. I'm like, what is happening? The Wings game is so boring, yet all these other games in the NHL are fun. And you're right. It was the Islanders. They play a very muck it up, grind it out kind of style of hockey that really just is designed to win a 1-0 or a 2-1 game. And they just couldn't score on Alex Lyon.
And again, like you said, we play them one more time, so there'll be at least one more really boring game before the end of the season with the New York Islanders. The way they played is not sustainable. The way the Red Wings played is not sustainable. It's not sustainable to play a 1.5 minute defensive zone shift, like you said, just to dump it in and do a line change to play another 1.5 minute defensive shift. And what I think we'll do is, before we get into that, we're going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsors. We'll come right back on the other side. I need to get more water, which is half of the reason we're doing it, so I can keep going. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back to talk about a little bit of possession metrics, a little bit of newsy comments, and then a couple more off-topic stuff before we wrap it up tonight. So give me 1 second. Hockey is in the air, and the thrill of the game is bringing Red Wings fans from all over the country back to Little Caesars Arena starting this Thursday for Game 1 against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So when you're looking to get tickets, your number one choice should be Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You can see players like Connor Bedard or Connor McDavid come play the Detroit Red Wings, and you get the seat views before you buy, so you can see what it looks like from where you will be sitting. Curated deals make it easier to find the best price on great seats, and with the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, and more, Game Time should be your number one destination for your tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. This episode of the Grindline Podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp. Is there a skill you've been meaning to learn? Something you see someone else doing and you're saying, man, I think I'd be really good at that, or that would be a ton of fun. Kids are always learning and growing, but as adults, sometimes we lose that curiosity. Therapy can help you reconnect with your sense of wonder because your back-to-school era can come at any age. Therapy has a stigma of just being for people that are experiencing trauma in their lives, but it can be for anyone and can help with things like coping skills and setting healthy boundaries to make you a better person. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. You don't like the one you're matched with? You can switch at any time for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THPN. The quest for the Stanley Cup starts now. The puck's dropping on the 2024-25 season. Get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. Right now, the Red Wings are a long shot to make the Stanley Cup, but you can put a bet in anyways, and if they turn things around, you might make a bit of cash. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ice.
And we're back, and this brain fog is killing me, man. Don't get sick. I don't recommend it. I start one thought and then my brain slowly trickles into a different thought before I'm done with my first one, and it's going to be a mess. So I apologize for what I am calling a very all over the place podcast hosting from me. But what I want to get into a little bit is the Red Wings' unsustainability from a pressure standpoint, like we had been talking about. And I looked at the numbers and I'm like, oh, well, there's the reason that we're not doing so well. Our best Corsi 4 game, so for those that are new or have not followed advanced analytics, your Corsi and Fenwick numbers are basically your possession numbers, the percentage of the time your team has the puck during a game. Above 50% means you have the puck more than 50% of the game. Great. So we're looking at 5v5 Corsi possession metrics. Your highest game was your 4-1 loss to the Rangers, where you had the puck 53.95% of the time. Your game against the Islanders, the Red Wings 5v5 Corsi 4 was 34%. Against the Preds, it was 35%. When the Red Wings shut them out 3-0. When the Red Wings beat the Preds 5-2, it was 36.3%. The Red Wings are not keeping hold of the puck. They are not able to break out. We've seen the offense like this last game just go absolutely dead. There's no control. And when you can't keep hold of the puck, of course, you're not going to get shots on net. You're not going to get high danger chances. You're not going to get good opportunities. And at what point does that become troublesome? At what point do we say, we don't have enough possession, we don't have enough offense? What is happening with at least the top six?
Yeah, they need to sustain some pressure. They don't. I feel like it's a lot of one and done. It's a lot of come in the zone. I guess it can be attributed to the breakout to start. You know, they don't break out cleanly, and obviously a team like the Rangers, a team like the Islanders have a lot to do with that. But if you're going to make the playoffs, you have to fight through that. You have to find a way to get out quickly, whether it's off the glass and out, which I know we all don't like that, but you know, if that's the only way you can break out, you're going to have trouble. The worst, the teams that aren't that great in the NHL use that off the glass and out method, you know, and I hate to say that because I know you see a team like the Florida Panthers, you see a team like the Vegas Golden Knights, you see teams like that aren't necessarily passing it all the time, but they do that flip dump out to center ice a lot of the times. That's not off the glass and out. Off the glass and out is someone that it's just because you're so tired and you're tired of defending in your own zone, you're chipping it off the glass and out. You can't. That's not a breakout. I'm sorry, it's just not. And until they can figure out a breakout to weather whatever another team's forecheck is giving them, they're going to continue to have problems. I don't know. I don't know what you do because Gustafsson was supposed to be that guy, and he's certainly not that guy. Who's the only person on this defense that can actually make a solid breakout pass?
Sider can make a solid breakout pass. Simon Edvinsson can make a solid breakout pass.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, Oli Mata maybe every once in a while.
Yeah, but how many times do you see him off the glass and out?
But so to that point, like you said, Gustafson, I tweeted 2 games ago, I never want to see Eric Gustafson again. He took a very ill-timed penalty last night that could have cost the Red Wings against the Islanders. I've seen enough of Gustafson, and I know it's kind of early to say that, and we signed him to a 2-year contract, but I think you need to see more of what you have in Albert Johansson. Can Albert Johansson make those breakout passes? I think he looked good in the game he's been in so far. Like, he looked really good. He's a stout defensive player. Does he have the ability to do a breakout? Well, we have yet to see that because you won't play him. And I understand the point that on the road, you maybe try to expose your rookies less to the fact that you don't have the matchups you want. You maybe put him in a bad situation because you're playing him against a team and he gets matched up against Barzal and Barzal smokes him and he looks bad. But to me, that's a learning opportunity. Like, for someone like an Albert Johansson, who was great in the AHL. I mean, there was not a bad really side to him there. You need to get him in those kind of opportunities. Now, maybe we see him tomorrow night because we're back home. But I think that Gustafson sat and you're like, well, maybe he can sit and then watch from the press box, figure out what he does. He comes back and does the same thing. Like, it's not pretty hockey. It's not sustainable hockey. Like, we'll say over and over again, what he does is not sustainable. But it's not the breakout pass. It's not a good power play quarterback. They keep trying to shove him power play quarterback. It's not working. Alex Tanguay's power play in general is not working.
One quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, Mo has scored a goal. Mo can pass. Like, we can do this. Like, let him do it.
Believe it or not, people.
Yeah. Like that, what Gustafson is doing is not sustainable. So I think that you need to put Albert Johansson back in, and maybe Johansson can help you generate some of that offense.
What do you think the biggest issue is with the power play?
Lack of movement, lack of setup, zone entry is a big issue. They can't get into the zone to set up on the power play.
Here's an idea. Make Dylan Larkin the slingshot and let him go into the zone every single time. It's like, I'm not going to make the comparison between the two because they do it 2 different ways. But Pavel Datsyuk and Henrik Zetterberg were fantastic at knifing through and making it into the zone on power play entries. Dylan Larkin can do the same thing with blazing speed. You've seen it. You've seen it.
Alex DeBrincat had a really good zone entry the other day too.
Yeah, Patrick Kane too. That's another one. I mean, you should be an assortment of riches. I mean, hell, Lucas Raymond could probably enter the zone on zone entry. So I don't know why they're having
all of it, Tyler. It seems like an overall lack of aggression. The penalty kill is a lack of aggression. The power play is a lack of aggression. 5v5 is a lack of aggression. It seems like they're just kind of going through the motions out there when they should be attacking.
Yeah, I mean, the power play comes down to effort and attention to detail. Obviously the power play is worked on in practice, so they need to do whatever they're doing successfully in practice, do it in the game, and they'll have some success. I mean, because a lot of the pieces on this power play are similar to what we had last year. Obviously, you don't have a David Perron, you don't have a Shane Gostisbehere, you don't really have a Jake Wallman, but you do have a Simon Edvinsson in year 2. You do have Moritz Seider in year 3 now. You do have Patrick Kane
year 4.
I would just be honest. I would just load up. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I think you need to try and run. I think Alex Tanguay needs to take a really hard look at the system that he's running currently and see where he needs to make adjustments because it's not working. I want to talk a little bit about Newsy's post-game comments from the Islanders game. And it was a comment where I heard it at first. So Helene St. James had asked, like, what you're doing, it's not sustainable. And he's like, well, I hope it's sustainable. I hope we get consistent good goalie play. And she's like, no, like the defensive play. And he had said something to the effect, basically, that we're not allowing rebounds. We're not allowing second chances. We're not allowing odd man rushes, which that's true. I have not seen really any odd man rushes. He said that he's really happy with where the defensive game is at, and that they've been playing good defensive hockey. And that took me aback a bit because I'm like, you see guys floating out there. You see Gustafson floating out there. You see Ben Sherratt I don't, maybe he needs to wear glasses, a new prescription, something, because it's like he doesn't know where to be and when to be there. It's been really bad. But then I went back and looked, and I'm like, well, what is Newsy really talking about? So in the game that we lost 5-2 to the Rangers, the Red Wings had 11 high danger chances for in that game. The Rangers only had 10 high danger chances. In the game against the Preds, where the Red Wings won 5-2, the Red Wings had 12 high danger chances. The Preds had 5. And in this game against the Islanders, where they outshot us 30-10, the Red Wings had 2 high danger chances for, and the Islanders had 2 high danger chances for. And these are 5-on-5 high danger chances. And that basically validates what Newsy is saying. When they're taking shots at the net, they're taking them from the point, they're taking them from the perimeter, they're sending floaters in. They're not getting any 5-on-5 like grade A chance, not many grade A chances to score. And if they're out chancing the Wings, it's by 1 or 2. It's a very minimal amount of out chancing. So I looked at it and I said, well, where there are lapses in the defense and how the defensemen are playing, overall, the defensive effort, at least within the past 3 games, has done their job. They've done their job. It's the offense that's not doing their job. And of course, right when we are about to wrap up the main portion of the podcast, Tyler loses power. So I think that pretty much wraps it up, though. I think that is what Derek Lalonde has said about the defensive effort is correct. The offense is where we are really falling down. So I think you need to get that top 6 running. The bottom 6 now, hopefully with Marco Casper on it, can provide a little bit more offense. He can drive a little bit there, create a little bit more chance for them to do something. But maybe this breaks the ice for Patrick Kane, that goal against the Preds. Maybe Vladimir Tarasenko piles a couple more on. But when do you start worrying about Lucas Raymond? When do you start worrying? I don't really worry much about Dylan Larkin because he's been going pretty consistently. But when do you start worrying about Alex DeBrincat, who again is missing open nets, who's getting the chances but not burying them after scoring a couple goals in the home opener? I think that's where you need to figure out why the top 6 isn't working and what you can do to maybe inject a little bit more there. And then on the back end, like we had talked about, where's the breakout pass? Can Albert Johansson maybe come in and do a little bit more breakout? Can Mo Seider get Mo Seider on power play 1 and let him quarterback that with Eric Gustafsson not working there? There are some offensive changes that could be made, I think, to drive a little bit more. It's just the effort and willingness to change those things. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for us tonight, since I'm about to lose my voice. You follow the Grindline Podcast online at Grindline Pod. We'll give a shout out to the Hockey Podcast Network at HockeyPodNet for hosting us and spreading us around. Vintage Detroit, which is the only place you should get your Detroit jerseys from and worked on. You can follow and subscribe to us on YouTube, like our videos, and turn on notifications, get notified whenever an episode goes live. And we do have a t-shirt collection on Vintage Detroit. If you go to vintagedetroit.com, click on the Keep It Local tab. There will be new shirts going up there shortly. I sent 4 more designs in. And yeah, there will be new Red Wings merch going up from us on the Vintage Detroit website. But that is going to do it for us tonight. So for Tyler, I am Greg. You stay classy, Hockey Town.